Canada's defense landscape was quietly shifting long before anyone in Washington realized what was happening. For years, the country had been criticized for delaying its fighter jet replacement program, relying on aging CF-18s long past their intended service life. But behind closed doors, a plan had been taking shape, one that would not only change the Royal Canadian Air Force, but also reshape the aerospace map of North America. That plan has now been revealed. Canada is preparing to greenlight a full-scale fighter jet production facility built in partnership with Sweden's Saab, a move that has stunned officials in Washington and surprised military observers worldwide. The idea sounds bold, even risky, but Canada's logic is clear. The country has long wanted more autonomy in its military procurement, fewer political strings attached, and stronger industrial returns at home. Saab offered something no other Western supplier dared to place on the table: full technology transfer, local jobs, deep industrial participation, and the creation of a brand new fighter jet manufacturing ecosystem inside Canada. Not assembly, not minor component work, actual domestic production capabilities for the Gripen E, a highly modern, network-centric multi-role fighter. While the United States pushed the F-35 with tight controls, high maintenance costs, and restricted access to critical systems, Saab went in the opposite direction, promising transparency, affordability, and sovereignty. This alone captured Canadian interest. But what really changed the game was Saab's willingness to let Canadian engineers, technicians, and suppliers become part of the global Gripen chain, giving Canada long-term access to a fighter jet it could maintain and upgrade independent of foreign pressure. Sources inside Canada's defense sector reveal that work groups between Canadian aerospace firms and Saab engineers have been quietly collaborating for months, mapping out locations, infrastructure, and staffing requirements for a future Gripen production site. The proposed facility would be unlike any Canada has seen in decades: advanced robotic assembly lines, avionics integration stations, composite manufacturing, and a dedicated testing center. For a country seeking high-tech employment and self-reliance, the offer was almost irresistible. The potential benefits are enormous. Around 10,000 to 12,000 direct and indirect Canadian jobs, billions in long-term industrial output, and a revival of a defense industry that once produced legendary aircraft like the CF-105 Arrow. That historical wound, cancelling the Arrow program, is one reason this new opportunity resonates with Canadians. For the first time in generations, Canada could once again produce its own cutting-edge fighter aircraft, not merely act as a buyer. Washington, however, did not expect this development. The assumption was simple. Canada is a NATO ally, deeply integrated with US defense networks, and therefore would naturally choose the American F-35. But this time, Canada's priorities shifted. They wanted a fighter that fit their geography, economy, and sovereignty requirements, not a jet optimized for US strategies. The idea that Canada might soon operate a domestically built Gripen, fully maintained within its borders, sent shockwaves across American defense circles. Analysts warn that if Canada sets this precedent, other US allies might also pursue sovereign alternatives. Though the final decision has not been announced, preparations hint that Canada is far more serious about the Saab partnership than Washington ever expected. Behind the scenes, both sides already see the Gripen factory as more than a procurement option. It is a strategic shift in North American defense independence. As discussions intensified, Saab expanded its proposal far beyond simple aircraft sales. The Swedish manufacturer brought forward a detailed industrial master plan designed specifically for Canada's long-term strategic and economic needs. This plan outlined a fully integrated fighter jet ecosystem stretching from British Columbia to Quebec, connecting supply chains, universities, research centers, and aerospace hubs. It was not a contract, it was a transformation project. One of the most striking elements of the proposal is a Canadian Gripen Development Centre, staffed jointly by Saab and Canadian engineers. This facility would not only oversee the assembly of aircraft, but also contribute to future Gripen upgrades, mission systems, artificial intelligence tools, and advanced sensors. Essentially, Canada would become a co-developer, not a customer. For a country that has repeatedly struggled to gain full access to American technology for the F-35 or F-18, this level of trust and collaboration felt revolutionary. The Gripen E itself fits nicely into Canada's operational environment. With its ability to operate from remote airstrips, icy runways, and austere bases, the aircraft is tailor-made for the vast Canadian Arctic, where Canadian sovereignty is constantly challenged by foreign aircraft probing its airspace. Unlike the F-35, which depends heavily on large, climate-controlled bases and complex maintenance support, the Gripen is designed for rapid turnaround in rugged environments. It can be refueled and rearmed by small ground crews in minutes. This simplicity aligns perfectly with Canada's far north defense requirements. Canadian officials also took note of the Gripen's low operating cost. For decades, Canada has faced criticism for underfunding its military. Even with the government's pledge to increase defense spending, maintaining a fleet like the F-35 would consume a disproportionate share of the budget. The Gripen's affordability ensures more flight hours, higher readiness rates, and long-term sustainability without sacrificing capability. In fact, multiple NATO analysts argue that the Gripen's advanced EW suite is one of the best in the world, capable of electronically blinding even fifth-generation aircraft. But what truly caught Washington off guard was the political messaging coming from Ottawa. Canadian leaders began emphasizing sovereignty, independence, and national control, concepts rarely highlighted during previous fighter jet competitions. For decades, US defense companies dominated the Canadian market, expecting near-automatic purchases. Now Saab was offering not just a fighter jet, but a shift in defense philosophy. Behind closed doors, US diplomats reportedly expressed concern. A Canadian-built Gripen could weaken America's influence in North American defense supply chains. It could reduce the US monopoly on high-end fighter jets in NATO, and it could inspire other nations, like Finland before joining NATO, or potential future buyers in Asia-Pacific, to push for deeper industrial participation and sovereign control. Meanwhile, Canadian aerospace companies saw the opportunity of a lifetime. Firms that once feared layoffs now anticipate growth. Colleges and technical institutions are preparing new aerospace programs. Provinces are competing to host the final assembly line, each promising tax incentives, workforce pipelines, and infrastructure support. What began as a procurement program is evolving into a national project. The excitement is growing, but so is geopolitical tension. Washington is beginning to realize that if Canada accepts this partnership, it signals a broader shift in global defense thinking. Nations want control. Nations want autonomy. Nations want industry. And Saab is offering all three. As the proposal advances, Canada's political and military leadership now face one of the most consequential defense decisions in modern history. The choice is no longer just about selecting a fighter jet. It's about redefining Canada's role within the Western defense ecosystem. A domestic fighter jet factory, powered by Swedish technology and Canadian engineering, would alter economic, strategic, and geopolitical dynamics for decades. Behind the scenes, planning teams are already mapping out how Canadian provinces would divide responsibilities. British Columbia has proposed hosting the composite materials and wing production centers. Manitoba and Ontario are preparing bids for avionics, robotics, and engine component manufacturing. Quebec, home to some of the world's most advanced aerospace firms, is pushing to host final assembly and flight testing. This distributed layout mirrors the structure of Sweden's own Gripen supply chain, but on a larger North American scale. Perhaps the most groundbreaking element is the workforce structure. Saab has promised thousands of high-tech jobs, ranging from software engineering to AI-powered mission planning systems. Workers would be trained to handle classified technologies, giving Canada a deeper level of expertise than it has held since the Cold War. These are not short-term jobs, they are generational careers. And for the first time in decades, young Canadians considering aerospace careers see a future built at home. There is also a symbolic dimension. Many Canadians still feel the loss of the CF-105 Arrow, a moment often remembered as the country's greatest missed opportunity in aviation. The Gripen project, though foreign in origin, represents the revival of the dream that Canada can design, develop, and produce advanced aircraft. Saab has even signaled that future Canadian-specific upgrades could be developed locally, giving Canada real influence over the evolution of the platform. Not everyone is happy. US defense analysts warn that a sovereign Canadian fighter line could reduce the long-term unity of North American defense operations. Some worry that the Gripen lacks the stealth profile of the F-35, while others fear that Canada's defiance could embolden European defense firms seeking to expand into traditionally American markets. In Washington, the message is clear. Canada choosing the Gripen factory would mark a rare and symbolic rebuke of American defense dominance. But Canada is thinking long-term. Climate conditions, Arctic defense requirements, maintenance autonomy, cost control, industrial development, and geopolitical sovereignty all point toward a solution that gives Canada control rather than dependency. Saab's proposal provides that independence. And for the first time, Canada is seriously considering the possibility that the future of Canadian air power may not be purchased. It may be built. As the partnership inches forward, observers are beginning to understand why Washington is alarmed. This is not just another procurement deal. It is a shift in power, a shift in influence, a shift in ownership of advanced military technology on North American soil. If Canada accepts Saab's offer, the continent's first new fighter jet factory in decades will rise, not in the United States, but in Canada, powered not by American aerospace giants, but by a Swedish-Canadian alliance. What seemed impossible just a few years ago is now within reach. A Canadian-built Gripen fleet, supported by Canadian engineers, defended by Canadian autonomy, and signaling to the world that Canada is stepping into a bold new era of defense independence. Washington may be stunned, analysts may be divided, but Canada's message is becoming unmistakably clear. The future of its skies may soon be crafted by its own hands.